Well, hello friends, Mark Holmes here getting set up for my live stream. Tonight's going to be kind of a little bit of mix. We're going to experiment a little bit. We're going to live stream during the Ravens versus the Raiders game. We're going to start that out, our live stream Monday night early. We'll follow along with the game, but of course we'll be mainly talking about the Dallas Cowboys and everything that is the Dallas Cowboys. You know, we had a lot of really good things that happened during this game for the Cowboys. You saw a lot of things. You say, yeah, Dak Prescott, that looked great. Amari Cooper, more catches than he's ever had. You looked at CeeDee Lamb, although CeeDee made up for it later on, but CeeDee Lamb having that tip pass in a few drops, but coming around and still playing really, really well. Unfortunately, we had bad news like Michael Gallup getting hurt and out for 3 to 5 weeks. But we saw guys like Connor McGovern, a third round draft pick a couple of years ago, play actually really, really good in the absence of Zach Martin. But everything is not copacetic here because we know that, Lyle Collins right now is trying to get his suspension overturned, but we're going to lose him for possibly 5 weeks. Maybe we'll get lucky and maybe it gets reduced or something, and to make amends for it, so the NFL can say you're wrong without them saying that we're wrong as well. You know how that works. But something that's been kind of lost in the mix. If you noticed, a lot of Dak Prescott's passes, he's literally in the pocket. In the pocket is, like I always like to talk about, that trash compactor. It starts closing in on it. A lot of quarterbacks will get happy feet and make mistakes. But I remember some of those plays in that game where it literally looked like you just saw an arm in a sea of guys come out and make a great throw. And part of that reason is Tyler Biadasz ended up giving up more pressures than any center in the NFL this past week. How many more? He had three more than the next team. That's not good, guys. And the Dallas Cowboys basically bet that Tyler Biadasz was the guy. They let Joe Looney go, and people say, oh, well, why don't we re-sign Joe Looney? Well, Joe Looney signed a contract with the Giants, realized that that team is so bad, you know what, you can keep your money, I'd rather retire. So his rights are actually owned by the Giants. So you can't exactly sign him unless he came out of retirement, got cut by the Giants, or they waived their rights for him. He's not yours. There's no chance of getting him. So the problem for the Cowboys is when you look at center right now, on the flip side of this, and the same thing with Anthony Brown, um, they were playing some of the best in the NFL. When you got a guy like Vita Vea that's in there pushing and things on you, you're going to give up a lot of pressures. Let's be clear here. Vita Vea is a beast, and there's not a lot of players out there that are like him. God, I wanted that guy. God, I wanted that guy. But unfortunately, he was way gone before we had a chance to get him. We got to do better at center. We must do better at center. And before, here's where everything is relative because losing um, Lyle Collins kind of screws you up in this situation because I thought in my mind, what you want is you want the best five players out there. If Tyler Biadasz continues to have that sophomore slump, and maybe we'll see him playing better this week, but this week is going to be a tough week as well because you think of Joey Bosa on there on the outside, that Lyle Collins is in there, that we may be bringing, Ty Nsekhe or um, Brandon Knight starting against that guy. That's a lot of pressure you got to deal. So what you're going to end up having to do is you're going to end up having to keep Zeke in, basically max protect to help out with that guy more than likely. What you could have been doing, because Connor Williams' first preseason game at center wasn't great. Second game, you didn't hear anything about it because he played so much better. So you may have to look at when you get Lyle Collins back that maybe you need to go ahead and say, okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and take Lyle Collins will be back at tackle. Connor Williams is at center. Connor McGovern, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. If Tyler Biadasz continues to struggle. Like I said, let's see against other competition. There are games because we remember when Joe Looney had to face Ndamukong Suh in the playoffs, and Ndamukong Suh literally was picking him up and just kind of throwing him out the way. This is not what you want to have on your offensive line. Second thing that's interesting is this the new reality for Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch? Um, Jalen Smith played 16 snaps and Van Der Esch played 15. Um, Micah Parsons played 51 and Keanu O'Neal played 50. Now, the only thing about Keanu O'Neal is still more of that run first guy. He has a tendency to get sucked in a little bit, and Tom Brady picked at him a bit. Now, he's much better than Jalen Smith covering guys coming out in the slot and things. But that's one thing to keep an eye on, that may be a spot that teams focus on trying to get is right there on that slot, sucking him in with play action. Anthony Brown, of course, faced Antonio Brown. And let's be clear, he's not there. He's not going to face that kind of competition every week. Antonio Brown has made a lot of guys look really, really bad. And then you've got Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons played the most snaps of the linebackers at 51. Guys, that's more than 3-to-1 snaps. Now, is that because, now here's the question, is the reason because they looked at it and said, we're going to be in pass defense a lot more than run, and that Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith are basically your run packages? Or is it we're already looking at these two and saying they are head and shoulders better than those guys, and basically we're using them just to spell our number ones? Don't have an answer for you on that right now, but it's something that we definitely bear watching here in the future. So now the next question is, and a lot of people have asked, why did we sign a wide receiver to the practice squad? Why do we sign a wide receiver? Well, here's the thing. Because Michael Gallup has been put on the injured reserve, that opened up a slot. And because you end up bringing one of your guys on practice squad, that kind of leaves a spot over there for a wide receiver. Now, here's the thing. The guy we brought in is very fast, and he's averaged over 20 yards per reception. Doesn't have a lot of experience, but it's a case where you may be getting lightning in a bottle. You may end up finding a guy that really, really fits your system, and as opposed to having all the quarterbacks in Washington throwing to him that literally their ass, that maybe you get him here using his speed, and if something happens with another receiver, is somebody you can look at and say, okay, he's got a little bit of experience and speed. Maybe it'll give you a different wrinkle. So don't poo-poo necessarily bringing a guy in, because a lot of times guys are in the wrong system or guys don't get an opportunity. And you bring them in and they better suit the talents that they have with what you need. And it ends up being fire. It just kind of lights a fire. So I'm going to get ready for this live stream. And I hope you guys tune in, and we'll hopefully have a great time. And let's see if we can keep the news down. There was so much that was going on with the Cowboys today. It's kind of crazy. It's just too much to try and keep up with. I mean, I got a day job, man. I can't do this all the time. I'll see you in a few.